Welcome to the workshop, tools in the light. Screws and glue, they're holding it tight. Piece by piece, it's a builder's delight. Making dreams in the still of the night. Let's get into it, let's get building now. Put it all together, I'll show you how. Screw by screw and a little glue too. Welcome to the workshop, it's waiting for you. In the heart of creation, models take form. One more piece and they'll weather the storm. Engines roar or a ship in its prime. Building bonds stronger than time. Your hands are steady, your vision is clear. Dreams in plastic, they're finally here. Every piece has its very own song. In this workshop where we all belong. Let's get into it, let's get building now. Put it all together, I'll show you how. Screw by screw and a little glue too. Welcome to the workshop, it's waiting for you. Hours fly by as the pieces align. Apart work, beauty and design so fine. You're the maker, turning vision to truth. Building wonders for dreams of your youth. Hours fly by as the pieces align. Apart work, beauty and design so fine. You're the maker, turning vision to truth. Building wonders for dreams of your youth.
Good evening all. As you can see, I was playing with the title sequence to Tinker and Talk Tuesday. So I've put a little bit of a trivia quiz up and no one answered it. Just double checking. Nope. Oh, actually, Brett, you got it right. Day of the Dead. That's correct. So at the beginning of Spectre, then James Bond is walking down the streets of Mexico for the Day of the Dead festival. I figured relate it to the car that I'm building. So well done, Brett. But I figured maybe going forward, what I'll do is I'll put a little trivia question up at the beginning based on whatever I'm building at the time. So look out for that coming on next Tuesday. And I have realised that I had the wrong theme. I had the old theme running, so I need to change that for next week as well and get the proper Tinker and Talk Tuesday theme up and running as well. But as I said, I was playing this morning and yeah, I got it a little bit wrong, but at least the quiz part worked. But anyway, tonight, as I said, we are concentrating on the Agora build. I'm concentrating mainly on the car at the minute. I do have this here. Now this is hopefully going to be a rack that will sit at the back of the tunnel, so behind the Aston Martin. And my plan for that is to have a few knickknacks on there relating to James Bond. Now, I've already joked about this, and I'm going to have it. I'm going to have a Wayne head printed on it. And the Wayne head is going to be wearing Odd Job's bowler hat. But along with that, I'm going to put a few other bits and pieces on there for different James Bonds. So off the top of my head, I was thinking potentially the golden gun for Man with the Golden Gun. The shoe with the dagger in, which I think was from License to Kill. I might be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure it was a Timothy Dalton. It was either License to Kill or Living Daylights, because he only did 2. The Ghetto Blaster, which again I think is a Timothy Dalton, which I think was Living Daylights. So there's a few different bits and pieces that I want to put on that shelf, just as sort of like Easter eggs. So when people walk around in Telford, yeah, they might revisit the model and then see something they didn't see the first time. So that's my plan anyway. But as you can see, it is coming along nicely. The big parts are going to be coming soon with the help of Mike Lane. But for now, we've got a car to build, or at least half build, because as you know, I'm not building the full car because of the point that I'm doing it. So I'm doing it probably a little bit further than what you see at the movie, but it will certainly have a chassis, a body, maybe an interior. Don't know yet. I know on the shots that you see in the film, it definitely has a seat in it, but that was probably just placed in or propped in because I'm pretty sure it's just a body on a dolly that they probably borrowed from Aston Martin. It wasn't anything to do with 007, Goldfinger, or any of the production cars that are used for the film. It probably was, as I say, just borrowed from Aston Martin. Say, you got a scrap car we can just prop up? So, yeah, I'm going to try and make it look as close to, or relatively close to, but as I say, it's going to be a point in time, anywhere from completely scrap car to where he drives it off in the back at the end of the movie. So I can pick any time I want, really. And who knows what would have happened in that bay at the time. So I'm using a little bit of creative license, but the main thing is going to be the tunnel and the car and all the ancillaries around it. So for now, let's get into it and let's get building this model. Hey Chris, Mark, Brett, who else we got in? JP, Spider Sprue. Looks like a busy stream tonight. But I think actually, before I do this, I've had the Uniformation GK2 working away busily. And the idea is I'm going to have 2 of these racks at the back. And they're going to look like this. Now, they're not exact replicas, but they're very similar to what you see at the back of Q. When Bond is speaking to Q, you've got a couple of racks in the background. Now, these were never in the tunnel, or you didn't see them in the tunnel where the Aston Martin was. But that's where I say I'm using a bit of creative license. So, for some reason, the music playing. Don't know why some music was playing. My Alexa's going nuts, I think. But so, as I said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some probably like printed pallets on here, or maybe a wooden shelf. I don't know yet. But that is how we are on that one. As I say, I'm going to make another one as well. Obviously, this will be painted to look like metal racking. But that's where we are for that one. And I have got some other bits printing for that one, or printed for that one. I was quite lucky with this one, actually. Literally, there was a dribble of resin left in the vat. I sort of left it printing last night, and I didn't check the level of resin. But luckily, it did print all of it. And it literally, by the skin of my teeth, I got all that printed. So I need to get some more resin for that. So, if you remember, this is where we are at with the Aston for the minute. Last time we put in the steering rack, and also previously we built the chassis. So this time around we have the rear axle, rear drums, etc. And I believe that's the drive shaft. Now I do have pack 6 up here as well, and we shall see how far we get with that. I don't actually know what's in pack 6. I just grabbed it off the shelf. So let me just find the instructions. Mouse is going to work. They can't do it now. I've unplugged it. Give them Bergdis. Not a very sharp scalpel, is it? Right, so we've got a metal axle and a plastic top part. Get all these parts open. Without them falling on the floor. Got some PS25 screws. Some PS11 screws. And some DSO2 screws. Right. Screwdriver. So, first thing we need to do is we need the bottom section. Take the rear axle bottom and place one of the pin caps into the recess. So it's one of these, I guess. And then we need to take this. Obviously, this is for the sliding tyre slashers. And presumably, it's going to be the node end going in first. Yeah. So just push that in the end, like so. Now, presumably, you've got to do the exact same thing for the other side. Now, these little white things are only open on one end, so you need to make sure they go in the correct way around. Just use the workbench to help push that in. There it goes. I know that feeling, Brett. To be fair, I'm only doing this because obviously it was a win. So I haven't actually paid for the Agora models DB5. And to be fair, I wasn't planning on doing a DB5 because I'd done the Eagle Moss one. There is an Aston Martin that I'm hoping Eagle Moss will do, that I do have my eyes on. And that is the Living Daylights, the Advantage. Check the firmly inside the caps. They should slide back and forth without coming loose. Yep, all good. And then we have this piece. It's going to sit in one way or the other. That way it looks like. Actually, I guess that way because it's got that little keyhole pattern. I'm going to hold that in place with two PS11 screws. That's not the right attitude, Bergdis. You always need more models, and eventually you'll get the energy to come around to doing them. Oh yeah, it'd be really nice, I think, if someone did the DB10 as a model. I think that would be quite a good model. Right, so we've got those two screws in there. And then we're going to take this one, put it on top. Hopefully. Yep, I do like those as well, and I probably would like to do them, but just can't afford to do those. Not with them bring out the Orca and the Ford Explorer anyway. DSO2 screws for this one. We're going to need 4 of them. I should dip these into a little bit of oil. Of course, I could just say that I've already done the Vanquish, but it's invisible. Now, is that just a Bond theme or each title sequence? There might be a lot of Bond film references in this stream. Yep, and there were some bits actually from Die Another Day that were filmed here. So when you see the biome that he goes into, that was actually filmed at the Eden Project in Cornwall, or some parts were. Right, so that's actually that stage complete. Nice quick stage. So fit in the rear right brake disc. That's going to be 33. So what do we need to do? We've got this piece. Trying to work out which piece I actually need. This piece. And I think this piece. And that's got to line up one way around the other. We've got a hole there and got a keyway there. So is that going to go like that? Nope. Clearly not. Must go. It's got to go this way, isn't it? That's it. No, I'm sure that's wrong. Is it that piece? I'm trying to work out which piece they want me to put in. Definitely open the right pack, haven't I? Yeah. Definitely that piece. Okay, I'm confused. Let's have a look. Let's make it bigger. Okay, yeah. So okay, it's definitely that piece. Wasn't helped that they didn't really show a finished piece of that, and then they moved straight onto this. That's where I was getting confused. That's going to sit on like so. Is there right and a wrong way around that? Guess not. It just looks like it potentially spins. my favourite, I've got different favourites depending on what you're on about. Okay, so probably favourite Bond film is probably License to Kill, and I like that car in there, the Aston Martin. But it's not my favourite chase sequence. My favourite chase sequence is the Tomorrow Never Dies BMW through the car park. I think that chase is really good. Right, let's just zoom out on that and then try and work out where I am again. Right, that's better. Right, so we've got to fit that to that. Right, so that fits on there like so. Does that spin? Yes, it does. That lines up like so. And then we need to secure that together with some PS34 screws. Which are those ones. Yep. In a pedestrians and hold bay. I reckon by the end of this stream, we would have named every single Bond. It's going to be your heads on shuffle play. I could go easy on you and say just Dr. No, because that only had the theme tune, didn't it? And to be fair, Octopussy didn't have its own theme tune either. Was it Octopussy? No. On Her Majesty's Secret Service. That's what I'm thinking of. Right, so we've got that screwed together like that. Then we need the caliper, which is going to sit just there. And we're going to secure that with some PS21 screws. Which are here. To be fair, every James Bond chase sequence has its own merits. And they're all pretty good. Even the 2CV going down the hill. And I can't for the life of me think what movie that was off the top of my head. But even that was absolutely fun. And which was the one where he drove the Mercedes along the rails? I wonder how many quotes will be in this chat. Right, so we can fit that right hand side, which is going to be this side, I think. That's going to go like so. And then we've got some PS14 screws. Which are these ones? Just the school run in general would help, to be fair, Chris. Certainly get a parking space at the school then. Right, so we've got that on there. Let's have a look. What next? Then we have this piece. Where is that going to sit? It's going to sit between the two tabs. Don't think there's a right and a wrong way up for that. And then we're going to have a pin to secure that in place. So smooth end in first, that's going to go in there. And hopefully we can get that lined up. Yep, I've always noticed that. Every single time I've noticed that. I'll get that pin to line up. Where are my pliers? There it goes. Or at least halfway. There we go. That's that in. And presumably we've got to do the same thing for the other side. Well, I guess not actually, because that'll be the next pack, won't it? Yeah, at least the same. They look like it. We're going to take one of these, and that's going to sit in there. Take one of these pins. That's going to go through there. I remember doing this actually on the Eagle Moss Aston, so I know where the other one's going to go. It's going to go underneath. Fit the other arm on the opposite side, shown. Now presumably it's going to be facing the same direction, which is going to be that way. In the pin. Get on squished in there. Yep. I've actually used that word quite a lot this week. And it's only Tuesday. If you caught the Partworks Live stream the other day, no, yesterday, the Partwork podcast, one of my first builds, I realised yesterday, was actually an Eagle Moss build. One of the first Partworks that I can remember doing was Real Robots, where you built like a little bug about yay big, a little robot that would follow. You have a remote control for it and all sorts of things. Basically what you'd build out of a Raspberry Pi these days. But that was an Eagle Moss build apparently. Right, so we then have the piston. That's going to go in from this side, I guess, because that's the keyhole pattern. What are we securing that with? A PS11 screw. The word is eagle moss, dear. And really, you should know why that's a bad word. Been living with me long enough. Right, so we've got that in there like so. Whoops. Something just fell on the floor. And that says stage complete. So I guess we go on to the left side. And I assume we're pretty much doing the exact same thing for the left side. Doing pretty well for a Tuesday night stream. Probably jinxed it now though. Right, at least I now know how this goes together. Out of that, we then have this that goes in there. This then secures to that. Now, I haven't actually looked at the instructions to double check that, but I'm sure that's how it went. And what screws were we using? PS34 screws. Evening, go for it. Yes, and you clearly don't listen. I'm so in trouble now. Right, so we've got 4 of these to go in. So the DeLorean is the only Eagle Moss one, well, since it went bankrupt or whatever, the DeLorean was the only one that I had from Eagle Moss when that happened. But yeah, as I found out recently that it's not my only Eagle Moss build. I'm just happy that Fanhome picked up the slack on it, and they didn't have to. And when people are slating Fanhome for missed deliveries, certainly for ones that were from Eagle Moss, I'm thinking that you should be grateful that Fanhome even picked up the slack on it, because you could be left with part-built DeLorean, part-built Ecto, part-built lots of things. But Fanhome stepped up and said, yeah, we can help you. And I put up the post about the 89 Batman build that I'm doing. And there were so many people saying, oh, you won't get your deliveries, you won't finish it, etc, etc, etc. But I'm thinking, I've currently got four builds on the go from Fanhome, 3 of which are almost complete. And I've had little to no issues. Obviously with the Skyline we've got that delay, but they're saving themselves postage. So if they're saving themselves money, you can make, you can understand that. So yeah, I just don't know why people are just slating Fanhome. And obviously the biggest thing is obviously the people that have the problems are going to shout the loudest, and that's the main issue. Alright, so that's then going to go on here. What screws was it? PS14 screws. Yeah, I'd rather them have delays and sort themselves out, rather than to say, right, sorry, we can't do anything, and we'll leave you in the lurch with nothing. I'd rather have a finished model eventually than a part finished model. And the only major hiccup I've ever had with Fan Home is one of the stages of the skyline. Um, I think it was the side skirt was damaged. So the blue paint on the side skirt was damaged, and I asked for a replacement. They sent the replacement, no problem. But when they did that, they charged me for an entire pack, like 70 odd quid. But eventually they did rectify it and they refunded me. So they sort their problems out eventually. It might just take a while. What have you been searching for, Chris? Usually goes on the search algorithm of what you've been looking at, doesn't it? Right, these were the pins, weren't they? Oops. Just throw a scalpel around. Why not? Nope, it wasn't that, was it? It was this first, and then don't try and remember what you're doing. Look at the instructions. That goes on there. Let's actually get to the right instruction rather than try and do it from memory. And then we have this pin that goes through here. Which way did the pin go from? This way. Don't know if it actually matters which way the pin goes, to be fair. Right. That one squashed in there. And then I believe it was the arms. So they're going to go in like this with these pins. Probably isn't picking up on the microphone, but the rain is lashing against the roof of the workshop. And if it continues, I think I'll be sleeping in the workshop. I think I'll get drowned trying to get back to the house. And it's not that far. Right, so we've got that one in there. And then that one in there. Yep, obviously, I know several people obviously had problems with the gauntlet. But when I saw Wayne, he had a finished gauntlet. It was finished. Took a while, but it was finished. Oh, you definitely need a Megazord. Megazord's brilliant. Right, then we've got that one that goes in there. That's the only last part I've got. It's got to be that piece, hasn't it? What screw was it? It was the flange screw, wasn't it? Make sure I haven't missed out anything. PS11 screw. Do I have a PS11 screw? I do. Probably got one over here, haven't I? yeah, I literally could not believe the size of the gauntlet. I walked into Wayne's living room. He's got it by his TV, and the first thing I said, "Oh my god, that's huge!" It might be on its way to you, Chris. Don't know which way it's going, but yeah, it's absolutely hammering against the roof of the workshop. Right, so that's that stage complete. So we've got a rear axle now. What's next? Da, 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 da. So we've got to do the rear suspension now. Let's just try and organise this page a little bit better. That's better. Actually see what I'm doing a bit better now. So that was 34, so 35. We've got some springs in this one. Move those to one side. I will at some point build the engine. I don't know if I'll do that on camera or not, or if I'll do it on one of these Tinker and Talk Tuesdays. But I've got, should be coming over the next day or two. I've cheated, and I've actually bought a radio controlled or an RC Diorama engine hoist. Rather than building one or making one, you can buy them online. So I've got an engine hoist coming, which will hold the engine of the Aston Martin in the diorama. So I've cheated on that one. But other bits on 3D printing and making and designing myself. Alright, so bringing that back over. Got a spring. I'm assuming they're going on one on both sides. Yeah, we are doing both sides at the same time. Yeah, as I said, I'm absolutely massive. And I'm not a big fan of the gauntlet. I did the Lego gauntlet, which is about this big. But yeah, I know how big Wayne is, but when he was holding it up against his head, it does not give you any sense of scale, really, of that how massive a thing it was. It had its own gravitational force, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't understand it either, Brett. And I say the big thing is for me, they saved the DeLorean build for me, so that made me really happy. From a point where I thought, right, that's it, DeLorean's going in the bin. I did think about potentially 3D printing parts and finishing because I was that far along. There was a bit of hate about using Yodel, and to be fair, most of the time it's been fine. I think I had one crushed package from Yodel, but that's not Fanhome's fault. That's a Yodel problem. Right, so now it looks like we need to put in the rear axle to the car. So, try and work out how this goes. So they're going to go in there. And then these are going to go into the holes there. 1, 2. Nope, further down. 3, 4. There we go. What screws are we going to secure those in with? They can tell us. So it's a PS11 screw from the top. But what are these ones? That's my curiosity at a minute, because they're PS11s as well, it looks like. Yeah, so I figured while it's up this way, I'll screw these two in first, then flip it over. PS11, got those ones? Yes. Yeah, as I say, and they saved so many builds, along with obviously IXO, and I'm sure someone else came in and stepped up for another build. Yeah, I've had, yeah, and obviously delay on the Skyline. There have been delays on various other builds, but a delay is not the end of the world. So get those ones in first, and then we'll flip it over on the back, and then do the PS11s in the top. So slightly out of order, but never mind. Just realised why it's so dark in the workbench. I haven't put my top lights on. You can see what I'm doing now. Right, so now we need to get these springs lined up. And then we can get the PS11 screws in here as well. This one. And get this one lined up. Right, so that's those in. Now we need a drive shaft. Is there right and the wrong way for this one? I assume there is, which is going to be the thick end going that way. I assume it's got to sit in those two holes. Presumably, I'm going to be fitting it from this side with some PS25 screws. So, two of those in there, and let's have a look. We have these two parts, which are labelled R and L for right and left. Move those out of the way a minute. And these are going here. Take the right and stabilise, which is right and left, inside circle. Underside of the chassis is indicated. So that should be on the inside there. That's fine. Do we have a screw securing that in place, or does it just come from the top? Okay, so that just gets screwed from the top using a PS25 screw. So flip that over, that's going to drop out. PS25 screw in there. I like the idea of the lift, and I've seen obviously these various garages and things that have like multiple cars with multiple lifts, like maybe 3 high at times. And I'm thinking that'd be a good way to display some models, and just have like a almost a diorama of a garage with like the 3 car lift sort of thing. Right, so we've got these. One has a large hole, one has a small hole. Yep. Take the bar with the smaller hole and the right stabilizer bar holder. That. That's the smaller hole. That's going to go there. Nope. Going to go that end. Does it have a right and a wrong way? Doesn't look like it. That's going to go in there. And then using a PS25 screw, going to get that secured together. Like that. And then the one with the larger hole, we need to take this part. And that is going to go in this way around. And another PS25 screw. I'm going to take this piece, and this is going to go. I got some clip in there. So this one's got smaller holes. Now clip in there, and this one will go this way around and clip in like so. And back on the underside of the car. This was actually a single piece on the Eagle Moss build. I remember that bit. Try and work out how this goes. Okay, I can see that that's going to go in there. That's going to line up on there, and then that's going to go in there. Is that the way around it goes? Let's work it out first. So this one, so it's the other way around. It's going to go like that. Don't think they've asked us to do it that way first, but let's have a look. So we've got a PS25 screw going in the top of that one. PS25 screw, PS25 screw, and a PS14 screw. So let's do the PS25 screws first. And I think this will probably be the last part of the stage. And I think that's actually the last part of this build pack that I'm doing. So it's pack 5, that one. Because the only other thing in pack 5 is a wheel or 2 wheels. And I'm not planning on doing the wheels. Right, so let's make sure that goes the right way around. That'll pop in there. Try and get it lined up. And that's screw there. There it is. Why is that not going in there? There we go. So that one's in there, and then we got a PS14 screw, which is this one. Which is going to go right for the centre of here. Let's see where I can get that lined up. Takes a little bit of persuading to get that lined up. But we now have both axles now. So we've got the rear axle, front axle, etc. Steering working. Looking absolutely fantastic. So let's just pull over. That was pack 5. So what was left in pack 5 was pretty much all wheels. And then, as I said, I haven't actually looked at pack 6 to find out what we're doing next, or whether I even need to do pack 6. So let's have a quick look in pack 6. So wheel, which I'm not doing. Oh, we've got the centre console. It looks like we're starting the interior next, which I probably will do some of. I probably won't do the exhaust, because obviously the engine will be on a hoist. So in theory, it won't have the exhaust fitted at that point. So that's next time. But that's looking pretty good. And with the body on top, I technically speaking, I probably almost could get away with just resting the body on top of this, putting it on the dolly and say it's done. But I think I will go a little bit further and say, I know from various screenshots it did at least have a driver's seat in. So seating wise, I think I might still put the driver's seat in. The ejector seat, so the passenger seat, that will probably just be in the back of the tunnel or something, I think. But that's looking pretty good. Let's just switch camera, and I will say good night to you all. There we are. So, as I said, that's looking pretty good. Getting along pretty well with that. Obviously, we won't have everything done on this one, but I think I will do a little bit of the interior, and as I say, put the ejector seat towards the back of the tunnel, I think. I also plan on, with this little bit of racking, potentially putting the machine guns on there as well, so like they're ready to go into the car sort of thing. But there'll be a few little Easter eggs like that. Maybe I'll do 1 or 2 of the wheels and just have them stacked up in the rear corner. Just a little bit of dressing and things like that. But we'll probably find that out when I've actually got the diorama, the actual walls and everything, and work out what looks best and what fits in sort of thing. But I do know one thing I've got, and that is a lot of 3D printing to do. There's loads of different bits now. I think I've done the biggest bits with these, but In fact, actually, there's probably one other large item I'm going to be doing, which is probably going to be like a workbench where I can put various little tools and stuff on. So that's another item I'm going to be adding to the diorama. I've got like a list a mile long of things that I need to print and all the different bits that I need to do. So hopefully I can pull it off in the next month and it'll be ready for Telford. So fingers crossed on that one. But thank you very much for joining me on another Tinker and Talk Tuesday. And hopefully I will see you next week on another one. And it might just be that we continue this one again unless something else pops up in the meantime. Thanks so much for watching. Cheers.